Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing an oil service on the E90, but it's not just any oil service. We have a couple little modifications that we're gonna do while we're in there servicing the car. Something for longevity as well as for looks too. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the engine here. So I have everything all cleaned up. I have ran the car a little bit already. I took it around the block, put some heat into it just to get the oil warmed up. And what I'm actually using is, a lot of people, jacks are expensive. Jack stands are expensive, but I found these GK Tech low profile ramps. So any of the lower guys, girls out there, these are 45 bucks and they're relatively small, easy to use. It provides some adequate space. You can see my oil catch under there with a little bit of room above to still get to the drain plug itself. Now if we come over to the workbench, we have a few other things, and these are two of the things that we'll talk about later. But we have the MAN filter, which is the OEM filter supplier for BMW. You can get these on Amazon. I get my stuff from ECS Tuning. You can see these two guys here. And then I'm a big fan of Motul. I've used Motul on multiple cars that I've owned. I've used it for years now. And this is their Gen 2, their 8100 XS. So for BMW, this meets the latest and greatest standards for their oil 2019 and up. You can go to the Motul site. You can find on their oil selector all the different oils that are applicable to your vehicle. This isn't anything that's sponsored. It's just an oil that I've used for years now after using multiple brands. And this is something that I've settled with and found to have the most longevity out of it. But let's get back to it. Some basic tools here that you're gonna need: 17, a 22, and your oil filter cap. So this guy to take off where the oil filter is here. This is the AST V410. I believe I got this guy on Amazon years ago. But what we're going to do today is actually replace that cap with the billet one from ECS Tuning, just to minimize all the tools to carry around, or if I'm doing an oil change at like a friend's shop or a friend's house, I don't have to carry around this big tool here, even if I forget it, or this 22 millimeter. So now we've just minimized it to a 19, a 17, and your 3/8 wrench. If you don't have a torque wrench or any of that stuff, that's pretty minimal to do an oil service. So let's just go ahead and get started. And for the oil cap, when you do remove it, I think a lot of people like to take these and they set them on their back like this. I brought out an extra towel. Of course, I have it on its back right now. Set it face down, because what ends up happening is that oil that gets kicked up and is laying on there, it goes underneath the seal there, and when you go to put it back on and the car warms up, it leaks out and you get oil all around, and then you get it underneath your cover here. So just gonna take it, got an extra towel, set it face down, and we're gonna take our cap that we have, our AST cap, and our 22 mil and wrench, and we're just gonna go ahead, take this guy off, and be careful. It's gonna be hot. And I have a little trick here, because oil does like to spill out of these, so if you have two hands, get a towel ready. Take it slowly off, kind of bring the filter up towards the higher edge, and then tilt it back. You can see the oil just dripping off there. And kind of like you're pouring wine, turn it and bring it up. And then I just set it back down. Just like that. And look at that. No oil residue coming off. And you know what? This oil's pretty clean for right now. And if you want to, this is a great time to kind of it's kind of like that golden honey brown. I do my oil changes like every 5,000 miles, but this is a great time to actually you can take a magnet off one of your little pocket screwdrivers, and you can see if there's any like metal particulate in there or anything like that. We're just gonna run it around the lower section here. And as you can see, nothing, no chunks, no shreds, no nothing. We're clean. That's perfect. So we know that the engine's in good health. So after this is drained a little bit, we're gonna go ahead, set that to the side and start draining our oil. I don't have an under panel. And if we look right at the front of the bumper here, you can see these holes. Well, there's a bunch of 8mm screws that go along the under panel, and that reaches all the way back to just past the subframe here. So you're gonna have to remove those. There's probably about 15 to 20 of those 8mm. It's a big plastic panel, but we're gonna go ahead and slide the catch underneath, and we're gonna remove the 17mm bolt that is right there on the back of that silver pan. There we go, you should be able to see it. When I slide this under, you might not be able to see exactly what's going on, but pretty much we're just gonna remove that, let it drain into our catch here. Move that out of the way a little bit so I can get this loose. So with the low pro ramps, yeah, you have a little bit less space, but it's still manageable to get underneath here and do some services. Or if you need to do an inspection or anything like that. And what I like about this drain pan is I can just unscrew this and I can just let this bolt drop in. I don't have to worry about losing it or anything because it's just gonna sit right on top. And it's not gonna fall into the interior of the catch. There we go. So let's go ahead and talk about why I got what I got. Now, with the billet oil cap that we got here, the original one is that like hard plasticky material that we got here. After so many heat cycles, this thing can get brittle. It's a little bit robust, but I mean these plastic threading here, some of those can get rounded off. And to eliminate that, this is the billet piece from ECS Tuning. And with this little 19mm hex on top, or socket on top, we're eliminating the need to carry around this cap with us. So it also just looks nice. So this is about $90. Yeah, I could have gone and got the cast aluminum one. That's about half the price, but it also doesn't have this fitting on top. So you just need the 19mm. And what we're gonna do is I actually remove this from the stock unit itself, and you need this. You cannot install this cap without this piece. If you can see into the cradle, or not the cradle, but the piece here, you can see a little spring in there. So this is actually a little pressure relief valve to then recirculate the oil back in. And so, just like the other one, you can see there are those clips in there. So really, I just wrapped a towel around this, pulled it out of the other one, and we should just be able to pop this one right into its place. Let's see. Oh, that was like perfect. Click. The second thing is I got a magnetic drain plug. Now, it was $17. It came with 10 other copper washers, so you can do multiple oil changes, and then you're set, you know? So not a bad thing, but why did I get it? So a lot of cars nowadays, you know, they have the variable valve timing, they're oil pressure controlled, and with the BMWs down here in the front, you have the Vanos solenoids. Those have little screens in them. So when oil pressure is running, it's going through, the screens are there to prevent any debris that may get into the solenoid itself. Now the filter is the one and only thing that filters the oil, catches any other contaminants that may be in there. But wouldn't you rather have a secondary place where any of those finer things can get caught? Here on the end of this drain plug. So by doing that, any of those small magnetic debris that may be in the engine, or maybe if there's going to be an issue with the engine that you might not immediately see at the filter when you're doing your oil change, that magnetic drain plug is going to catch it. And it's also going to help prevent any buildup inside those solenoids, so it's going to keep longevity there, keep your parts cleaner. So that's what I was in that thinking. For $17, not bad investment, you know, especially for this car having 146,000 miles now. Anything I can do to keep this interior of the motor clean and just fresh and running right, I'm going to do it. So we got our filter all squared away. I'm just going to save that copper washer for anything else. Yes, I did lightly lube the big O-ring there with a little bit of oil. So we're going to take that, just put that on, just do it by hand. And we'll just snug that guy up. Perfect. And we're going to put in our magnetic drain plug. Like I said before, this is the same torque as the oil filter itself. So 25 Newton meters. So we got everything tightened up. And what I love about Motul is when you pop these tops, it comes with a little filler neck that's resealable, and you can push it back into place too. Well, you get what I'm saying. But for these motors, the N51, N52, it's going to be 6.5. See if I can get that. There we go. 6.5 liters or 6.9 quarts. So we're going to go ahead and take our 8100 Gen 2 and start filling her up. So we got to go to the inside of the car now because the oil change actually is not complete until we do this step itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop in the car, close the door, and put our key in and turn it on to accessory mode. Wait for all the beeps, all the lights to clear, everything like that. And you can press the BC button over here to clear out everything. And so what we're going to do is there's this little button down here in the corner, and we're going to press and hold that. And what we do is we come to this menu with all of our services. So this is vehicle check, that's emissions, front brakes, rear brakes, and then we have brake fluid and oil service, and you can see miles. It says 3,700, or it gives me a time 0322. I've just reset it so many times. But now what we're going to do, since we're on oil service, we're going to go ahead, press and hold the BC button until a reset comes up. Press and hold again. Keep holding. You see the little clock pop up. And reset. So now we're back at 15,000 miles. So that's how you go and reset your services. Press and hold that button. You can cycle through with this button here. You can see the menu changing, and then by pressing and holding the BC button to do the full reset. So now that we've finished resetting the services on the instrument cluster itself, we're going to go ahead, start the car. I'm not going to do it. I'm inside the garage. It's closed. I don't want to fumigate myself. But we're going to check for leaks around any of the areas that we touched around the oil filter housing here when we place the filter, and underneath at the drain plug. That's about it for the oil service. I really like the two little mods that I did, especially the magnetic drain plug. Just gives me a little bit more peace of mind, especially with a vehicle with a higher mileage. But a little update on the GTR. I finally got my fuel system figured out. What I'm going to do with that as far as running my pumps, I was waiting on another company, and unfortunately the unit that is being produced kept getting pushed back. Just development and amongst other things with shipping and trying to coordinate with multiple companies on CNC and all this other stuff. It just seems like it wasn't going to work out for the time frames on both parties. So I end up going with another company in Australia. So those parts are in the mail and they should be coming soon. So I'm happy to get back to the GTR. That's why I haven't touched it in a while, is just because I have not had parts. I have to do it in stages, and there's a certain process I have to go through. So thankfully those parts are on their way. So with that, I will see you all next time.
you.